Azure Storage is a great, budget-friendly, fast data store, and I love it. I use it very often, but I never used it yet with .NET Aspire, and I was curious, is it easy to use? Well, yes. And in this video, I want to show you how easy it is, and I built a simple application for us to explore, and all the code will be provided. So let's get started. So here, let me show you. I have a GitHub repo. Like I said, all the link will be provided. It's down below. You can see right away. And it's an API, minimal API that I built. It's using Azure Storage to save your data. We'll be running it with Aspire. The beauty of it is we will be able to run it locally. So that's pretty cool. And I created a template. So right away, you could just you could clone the environment like before, or if you want, you could use that template. So here with the AZD init storage, you could do that. So if I go in my terminal, I'm already in a folder that I name, and I will just run that AZD init. It will clone the environment for me and ask me a name for my environment. So I could say demo and then storage. So that will be used after the fact if I want, when I'm deploying to Azure and things like that. So now let's have a look. I will open it in VS Code. Bunch of stuff already open. I just want to show here the solution. Okay, so as we can see here, I'm using .NET Aspire. So I did build initially my API, my minimal API. We'll get into that. And after that, I right click on the, let me do it right away. So if I right click here, I can do add Aspire, and that will add those two other projects here. My app host, that is the orchestrator. If you're familiar with Docker, that Docker compose file, it really looked like that, where you define the service inside your solution and like the relationship between them. And then service default that have all the best practices, and you could customize and add more. So first, if we look at to the project app host, then to be able to have the storage, we'll need to add the package hosting Azure Storage. And if we go then into the program file, this is where the magic is defined. We just say, hey, add an Azure Storage. I put that in a variable here. And here, really cool feature. I'm saying like, hey, if I'm running in development, please run it as an emulator. And that's amazing because right away, without me doing anything, installing anything else, it will create a container with Azurite inside the emulator to emulate Azure Storage. So I will be able to run completely locally. So I don't need to deploy some pieces into the cloud to be able to code. So that's pretty cool. So after that, what I do with my storage that I define, I say, hey, give me a client. And in my case here, I need the table. In storage, there are different services available, but for me, I needed the table. So I say add table. I call it storage table. It's a client, okay? And then I'm adding also, obviously, my API project. I'm specifying that I want external endpoints, because I want to call it. And then I'm saying, hey, I'm adding references to my client, and also say, hey, you know what? Wait for it. So now if I start F5, the solution, it should start right away. Okay. Here we can see the template, just the dashboard just start, and now the storage is starting. The API was waiting, so now the API start at the end. And I told you that the storage was running in a container, so we could see here it is showing as a container. But if we let's go back to that terminal, right? My terminal here. And if we look, let's clear that. And if we look to the Docker that runs, if I do a Docker PS, now I see that I have my Azure Storage here that is running. So it is like, I know like it's not very clear. If I put it in one line, then it will be tiny, kind of like in the middle. Let's put this way so I could zoom. So here we see my container that start. So I have some storage that was created for me. So now that everything is running, obviously if I click here on my API, there's nothing. Like it's an API, there's no front end. I could type the URL, but it won't be very nice. So what I did instead, I did the next best thing, right? I did use, where it is, I will close the app, I will go in my API project, and I did create, let's zoom here, I did create a HTTP file. And that's with the extension, an extension in VS Code, you have the same in Visual Studio. You could do call like that. So I'm specifying my host address, and here I say, hey, you know what, like I have a function that generates. We'll go in the API pretty soon to see if it required a lot of like piping and configuration to use that, but I just want to show you what it does before we go into the belly of the beast. So let's say I want to generate client. I could just click here, and now we see it. I have tens of employee created. If I want to see all the employee, I could click here. And then I see now all the employee, it's returning a JSON, and like I could do a bunch of things like, okay, like give me all the employee, the last name start by B, look, I have none, things like that. So you could do all that. And because it's running inside a container, it's running really an emulator of Azure Storage. I could even go and use, let me open it here. Can I make it bigger? So I could go here and refresh this so we could have a look. And here I have an Azure Storage emulator that is started. If I look into that, I will zoom. So here I have an emulator that is created, and in the table I have my table employee. And if I look into that one, if I click here, I should see that I have 10 record. And those were the same information I was running. So I have really kind of like a Azure Table Storage running locally. I didn't install anything. It's running inside a Docker container. So when I will stop it, it will just like poof, vanish. Okay, so now we saw that it's pretty cool to add. It's running locally, amazing, but was it complex to do the minimal API? It required a lot of code to do that. So let's dive into the minimal API. I could have used controller API. I just like minimal API because you could put quickly something together and still have structure. You know what? I may do another video about that to talk about this. So if we look quickly at my API, I have the endpoints that will be defined here. I have my model, sorry for that line. I have the services here. I had my test file there. Like it's all kind of like having his own little folder with the information. The program file, if we look, the only thing that it says here is say, you know what? I'd give me a client, inject a client. Like I'm expecting a client, the orchestrator, like the app host, send me a client called str table. That's how Aspire work. Give me that and pass it to the other, right? And here I'm adding my employee endpoint to the app. That's it. That's all I needed to do. So now by dependency injection, I will have my storage table and I can use it. If I go in my endpoints, let's go employee endpoints. We'll move that here to give us a little bit more space. So let's have a look to employee endpoint. So here I'm receiving it, an endpoint. I will be passing my table service client that I'm receiving from the orchestrator, Aspire, that gave me this. And I'm calling my function here, get all employee, passing that. And I did create a service for my storage table. And I'm just like injecting that client in it. So when I'm getting it, I have all the information I need. The knowledge, my service know how the stable storage work. I'm like receiving all the connection string. I didn't have to code all of that. It was all done for me. So now if we go down below, I'm calling that service and returning the result. That's it. If there's a problem, I'm returning like a result problem with like the expected message. this is it. And if we go even deeper and look at how it was implemented, so here we are inside the service. I'm receiving like get employee, and it's just a query, no parameter, and I'm looping. Here I'm looping like for all the pages because here we had only 10 employee, but if I had many, I think it's like 500 or 1,000. I forgot the exact number of like by page. Maybe it's written in the, no, it's not there. Like there's a limit. So to make sure I have all the employee, the records, I'm looping through this and returning the list. This is it. And like, let's say if we look at do others, see here, I'm doing some grouping. So you could do all the query just like before, and like, just like that, it will work. And to deploy, it will be doing the same because right now I'm using Azure Developer CLI, the AZD. The simplest way to deploy will be just to do a AZD up. If we go back inside, sorry, I'm having trouble finding my window here. If we go back to the GitHub repo, I did say, you know what, like if you want to deploy that, you could just do AZD up. It will be asking you about like the subscription, like the location, and that's about it. I think that's the only two questions you will be asked. Makes sense, right? Where do you want to deploy that? And after that, you will have like an output like this. And you could just click here to like the API or straight to the dashboard and change in the, if we go back here in the API file, right? You could change this URL to hit the Azure one, and voila, you will be able to test and see the result just like that. And voila, now you know it too. Using Azure Storage inside the .NET Aspire solution, it's fantastic. It's easier than ever. You could very easily run it locally, in the cloud, whatever. You can test it. You could structure it the way you want. So give it a try. Get that repo. Give it a try. Look at that repo. Leave me your comments. Do you like those kind of like short, kind of hands-on video? Let me know in the comment and see you in the next one. Thanks.